In this video, I want to talk about a book that I've written for children that I'm really excited about. So let's get into it. Hello, my name is James Taylor. I'm an online hypnotherapist, counsellor, life coach, hypnotherapy supervisor. I'm also a podcaster, a YouTuber, and an author. Now, I want to get straight into this. I've just written a book for children and I want to explain why I've done it. Now, in my private practice, most clients come to me because they have something that they want to resolve, something they want to get past, something that's holding them back. And together, we work as a team and try and figure out a way of how to make this possible. And when this happens, the client then has a better life. They have more tools, more skills that they know how to use. Now, it got me thinking, wouldn't it be good if children could have these skills and tools earlier than they presently do? And I thought the benefit for the child to have these skills would be when a problem presents itself to the child, or there's a problem going on around the child will be more able to cope because they'll have a better understanding of their emotions. And this seemed like quite a worthy cause to do. So I turned it over to my mind and thought, how can I make this possible? And what I've done is I've written 29 books for children. 29 is an odd number, there's probably going to be a 30, but I've written 29 at the moment. And I've just published the first one on Amazon. Now, the reading age for the children is between 6 to 10 years of age, but it's not like a normal book. Each book has a therapeutic or a therapy angle to it. And the theme of all the books is there is a character. Normally it's an animal. There's some with a few people in, but generally it's an animal. And the animal has a problem. And it either has to solve the problem on its own or enlist the help from others, or help is offered by others to help the main character get past the thing that's interfering with its peace. Now, intentionally, in the book, I've included questions for the story to pause in that moment and for the reader or the parent and the child or the carer and the child to just pause and think about what emotions the character may be think about what emotions the character may be feeling in that moment. All right? And then there's also questions there about what you think might be a good idea for the character to do. What would not be a good idea for the character to do. And it's really to encourage the child to become very solution focused or start thinking of solutions to problems. Now, when you develop this skill, and you've probably know this yourself already, when you develop any skill, it's like working a muscle. And the more you work it, the stronger it gets. So children are so open to suggestion that if it's encouraged that they develop skills in this area, they're going to become fantastic problem solvers. And that can only be a good thing. Would you not agree? So the first book is out. It's called The Squirrel That Lost Its Nut. All right. And what I'm going to do, to give you an example, I'm going to put the Amazon link in the description below. But as a bit of a treat and a bit of an unusual one, I'm going to read this story to you, if that's okay, so you can see what it's like. So sit back, listen to the story, and maybe you might learn something as well. What I won't include are the questions that I ask the readers to ponder on. And also I won't include, at the end of each book, there's 10 facts, real life facts about the character. So in this one, there's 10 facts about squirrels. So it's educational as well. All right. So sit back, relax, and let me read you this story. And on the screen, you'll see a few images pop up, which are from the book. Hope you like it. Once upon a time, in a deep, dense forest, there lived a little grey squirrel. And this particular squirrel was very happy indeed. This squirrel, you see, had stumbled upon something so truly extraordinary during its adventurous escapades, it was impossible for it to feel sad. Hidden at the foot of a majestic tree, nestled beneath fallen leaves, lay the most magnificent nut the squirrel had ever laid its beady eyes upon. Oh, what a sight it was! The nut was as big as the squirrel's head. its shell a rich shade of brown, and the scent that wafted from it made the squirrel's tummy rumble with anticipation. It would make an amazing meal when the time is right. Without a moment's hesitation, the squirrel knew it had discovered a treasure. It needed to keep this delectable morsel safe, tucked away for a future feast. So, with nimble paws, it carefully buried the precious nut in a secret spot, marked only by the squirrel's keen memory. Days turned into weeks, and the time came for the squirrel to retrieve its hidden treasure. Oh, the delight it imagined, the joy of cracking open that luscious nut and savouring every delectable bite. Its mouth began to water just thinking about it. But as the squirrel set out to find its buried treasure, a dreadful realization struck like lightning through its tiny brain. "Oh no, I can't remember where I buried it," the squirrel exclaimed, its voice filled with dismay. It scurried about, digging small holes here and there, hoping to stumble upon the buried nut by chance. But alas, its attempts were futile, for the forest was truly vast, and the nut remained hidden from sight. Sitting down on a bed of leaves, dejected and defeated, the squirrel let out a big, despondent humph, holding his little head in its hands. Suddenly, from high above, a slow and wise voice drifted down, inquiring, "What on earth is the matter, squirrel, my fine fellow?" Startled, the squirrel looked up and saw a magnificent brown owl perched upon a branch, its large eyes twinkling with amusement. Embarrassed, the squirrel explained its woeful predicament, recounting how it had lost the most perfect, tastiest, largest, and complete king of all nuts it had ever found in its life. "Well, old chap, that was quite silly, wasn't it?" remarked the wise owl in its measured, deliberate voice. The squirrel's mood soured further, for it had already chastised itself plenty. "But fear not, my fairy friend," continued the owl, "for perhaps I can assist you, if you lend me your attentive ear. Would you like my help?" "Oh yes, please," the squirrel exclaimed with a flicker of hope. "Do you know where I buried my nut? Can you guide me to its hidden whereabouts?" The owl replied in a clipped manner, "No, I'm afraid I haven't the foggiest idea, old bean." Disappointment washed over the squirrel once more, despair threatening to take hold. "Then how can you possibly help me?" it asked, frustration seeping into its voice. The offended owl huffed and puffed, its feathers rustling with indignation. "I say," it retorted, "if you're going to be snippy with me, maybe I'll just fly off and find some delectable mice for my meal instead." The squirrel, realizing its mistake, quickly apologized, pleading with the owl not to leave. "I'm sorry," it said, remorse tinged in its tone. "I snapped out of frustration. Please, I truly need your help." The owl regarded the squirrel coolly, contemplating its request. After a moment, it spoke in its slow, deliberate manner. "Very well, squirrel. Since you've acknowledged your fault, I shall lend you my assistance. But remember, patience and careful thinking are key." Eagerly, the squirrel perked up, its eyes shining with renewed hope. "Now," Owl said slowly, "I want you, my forgetful fairy friend of the forest, to show me where you found this king of all nuts." The owl, spreading its majestic wings, gestured for the squirrel to lead the way. With a burst of energy, the squirrel scampered toward the spot where it had discovered the treasured nut. The owl followed gracefully, soaring through the air in silent companionship. After a short journey, they arrived at the foot of a grand beech tree, where the squirrel had made its miraculous find. "Now," said the owl, perching on a nearby branch, "retrace your steps, squirrel. Close your eyes and envision the exact moment you first discovered the nut. Recall each detail, each turn, and each landmark." The squirrel scrunched its eyes closed tightly, its tiny mind racing with memories. It could vividly recall the surprise and elation upon finding the nut, the thrill that had coursed through its fairy body. A sudden revelation made the squirrel leap into the air, eyes popping open. "Owl, I remember," the squirrel exclaimed, its voice filled with excitement. It hopped up and down, unable to contain its joy. "I needed to bury it, so I passed the bluebells near the path by the stream, then the broken tree stump and the buzzing bee's nest. I found a little fork on the path and went up the side where wild mushrooms were growing. That's where I buried it." "Marvellous, old chap," the owl declared, its eyes gleaming with approval. "Now, squirrel, what shall you do with this newfound knowledge?" Without a moment's hesitation, the squirrel shot off like a fairy rocket, following the path it had retraced in its mind. It darted past the bluebells, leaped high over the broken tree stump, and zipped past the buzzing bee's nest, its determination unwavering. Finally, the squirrel reached the fork in the path and slowed down, scanning its surroundings. It located a patch of wild mushrooms it had spotted before, a glimmer of anticipation flickering in its eyes. The squirrel took a deep breath and began digging with fervour, the excitement bubbling within. And then, there it was, a solid object nestled in the ground. With each scrape of the earth, the nut began to emerge from its hiding place. Squirrel dug even faster, leaves and twigs flying in all directions, its heart pounding with anticipation, until it held the precious treasure in its paws. It brushed off the loose soil, marvelling at the sheen of the shell, and began dancing in circles, holding the nut high above its head, exclaiming its triumph to the forest. But in the midst of its celebration, a gentle cough interrupted the squirrel's revelry. Looking up, it saw the wise owl perched on a nearby branch, wearing an amused expression. "Oh, yes," the squirrel stammered, its cheeks turning a shade of red. "I got a bit carried away in all the excitement there, you know. I'm sure you understand." The owl, with a nod of its head and a twinkle in its eye, spoke in its slow voice. "Well, my dear squirrel, I have a question for you, but before you answer, think carefully." "Of course," the squirrel replied, still making little leaps of excitement, now hugging the nut close to its chest, but eager to demonstrate its newfound wisdom. "In the future," the owl began, its voice filled with gentle guidance, "when you find a nut that you wish to bury, what will you do instead?" The squirrel pondered for a moment, the lesson firmly etched in its memory. A smile spread across its face as it answered, "I will take notice of my surroundings so that even if I bury it, I will always remember the exact spot." "Bravo!" the owl exclaimed, its voice filled with pride. "Soon, my dear squirrel, you shall almost be as wise as an owl." The end. So I hoped you liked the reading of The Squirrel That Lost Its Nut. As I said before, if this is of interest to you or you think a child might benefit from this kind of thing, the Amazon link and the Amazon links will be in the description below. So I'm really looking forward to releasing a new book every 6 weeks, and the illustrations are just beautiful, they really are. So my best wishes to you. I hope you enjoy the book if you decide to get it, and I will see you on the next episode. So this is James from Write Your Own Story. Bye bye.